Power statements. Power statements are affirmations that we tell ourselves. Power statements are about yourself. They are statements you want to say every morning, statements you want to say to yourself throughout the day, definitely before you go to bed. The whole concept of having power statements in your daily life is to keep you focused, to give you clarity, to keep you on track for your own goal. If you don't have these power statements, you're going to let all this outside nonsense, including people who don't believe in you, impart their own thoughts and beliefs into your daily affirmations. Your power statements are very simple. I'm doing this thing. I got this. And you want to put really oomph into it. I have included in the podcast details a really great video where this guy talks about not just power statements, but the value we have in our everyday lives to create something amazing. And it's called Running Through Hell. One aspect that I really like about this video, he talks about what happens when you don't finish your goal. What happens when you stop midway? What happens when you give up? What are those feelings that you have from not going all the way? And then some, where you feel like poop. You feel horrible. And that feeling stays with you the rest of your life. However, when you use your power statements to kick it, really put it into high gear, really the metal to the pedal, when you do this and you accomplish even more than what you set out to do, you are ready for the very next higher level in your life. Bob Proctor says, many of us go to our grave with the music still in us. I'm going to share a very quick example about my own life. Those of you who have been listening for a year and a half, one of my big goals was to sell my 40 acres and 3 houses in New York. Now, I'd owned this property for 22 years. Cut to the chase. I put it up for auction because no real estate agent could sell it. It was one of the scariest days of my life because 2 developers weren't going above $600,000. This was supposed to be a $1.2 million sale. Now, let me share with you. I owed $857,000, so I needed a big number. Needless to say, it was bought, thank goodness, by my neighbors. I got a little bit of money out of it. Now, was I scared? You better believe it, because I really thought I was going to make a killing, so to speak, at least a couple $100,000. But guess what? I come back to Florida and I'm ready. I am ready for this new adventure. And I have all kinds of amazing ideas and I've already started on them. I have copyrighted them. For those who are listening, you'll find out pretty soon some of the cool things I'm doing to create a multiple source of income stream. But here's the example of my power statement. There's a higher power that said, Valerie, you don't need anything to do with New York any longer. You belong in this higher universe, this higher plane of thinking, this higher creativity. And that's what I say every morning. I go out to the bay and I say, I'm doing this. The first quarter of 2023, I'm going to be living in this place. I'm going to have this amount of income, and be specific. That's what you really want. You want to be specific. So just remember, your power statements are powerful. You can't script on your power statements. So remember, power statements are what you want. Concise, clear, they have to be something that puts the metal to the pedal for you. Next, Kundalini Yoga and meditation will also help you with your power statements. What's important here, again, is when you practice Kundalini Yoga or you practice meditation, and both of these are accessible on my podcast details. When you go to the podcast details and you click on the links for Kundalini Yoga, there's one that's called Acupuncture for Your Brain. It's going to help you with all this crazy social media. The other one is meditation. It helps you gain clarity and focus. They're all short and sweet, but they will totally help you in your life. Lastly, wine. I thought I was one of the only people down here in Florida who talked about winter whites. I actually saw an article where they wrote about winter whites. One of the first one, these are hardy whites, and some of them will be oak aged, which is not my favorite, but if the wines are treated properly, being aged in oak, you will see a really beautiful essence of the treatment. Niente from Napa Valley has been around for eons. I believe 1979 is what I read. They do treat their Chardonnay with oak. You are going to get that buttery, toasty feeling, which is disgusting to me. However, this kind of wine will go with lobster. It will go with Alfredo sauces. So if you're imbibing this kind of a wine, you're going to want a richer meal to go with it. Another wine that they mention is Conde de Valdemar, which is one of the wines I have actually sold in the past. One of the varietals is Macabeo. I just killed it. Macabeo. Also a little bit of Malvasia. It's a very rich feel. Even though this is a Spanish wine and they do have a little bit of oak in the treatment, you're not going to pick it up. The Spaniards do not like any kind of overlapping oaky flavors in their wine. Regardless, it's still very rich. You could have it with the same kind of foods, meaning that you could do the lobster again, you could do the Alfredo sauce. The last one that I love is the grape is Godello, Godello. All this is in the podcast details. The Godello is also from Spain. It's more from the Bilbao section of Spain, which is the very northern part. This wine is fine just by itself. Absolutely no oak treatment. It's probably aged, however, in what we call neutral oak. Great presence. Also, I must mention Fourth and Vine. The store is in St. Petersburg. She does amazing wine club. If you're really stuck for gifts, I have mentioned stop buying all this stuff for people. Focus on food and wine. You know, you're not adding to the landfill when you do that. To wrap this up, your power statements, you want them to be concise. You want them to be simple. You want them to give you the metal to the power, metal to the pedal feeling, and really get you infused every day. Do something every day within 5 minutes that'll reach you to your goal. Make sure you write things down. There's a whole synopsis between your brain and between writing. Kundalini Yoga, meditation will really help you gain clarity, gain focus. It also creates a barrier against all the negative aspects you run across on a daily basis in your life. And wine. I always think, just choose good wines. It makes your life so much simpler. The way you choose good wines is to go to these independent wine stores and not choose anything from these gigantic 25-foot crazy floor stacks. Yeah, you know, I don't believe in that stuff. In conclusion, I'm Valerie Hill. I create this podcast, Wealth Yoga Wine, once a week to improve people's lives within less than 10 minutes. Merci et au revoir.